Hello, today I am doing the currently reading book tag. This tag is about books you're currently reading, about how you read, just your reading habits. And it was originally created by Charlie Rainhorse or something like that. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I will tag them in the description. The first question is, how many books do you read at once? Currently I'm just reading one, but it's definitely not always like that. Sometimes I am reading multiple. Now, it's not common that I'll be reading like 3 large novels at once, but I read a lot of smaller books and a lot of children's books, or recently I've been reading some graphic novels. So yeah, sometimes I will be reading smaller books. So I might be reading like my main novel that I'm reading, and then I might also have a smaller book or two, sometimes more. I don't really have a strict rule about this. I'm not going to read more than 3 books at a time or anything. I've tried to do things like that, but sometimes it ends up happening. But it's not common for me at the moment to read like more than 3 books at once, especially not a bunch of larger books. But I also don't have any rules like I'm always reading 1 physical book, 1 ebook, 1 audiobook, or anything like that. So yeah, I don't have a strict rule for it. So yeah, right now it's just 1, but it's not always like that. But it's usually not more than 3. I mean, it can be 4 or 5, but it's usually not like 10 at once, unless maybe there are a bunch of really small books, but that doesn't really happen at the moment. Question 2, if you're reading more than 1 book at a time, how do you decide to switch to reading the other book? Do you read a certain amount of pages each? Sometimes I'll try to read a bit of all the books I'm reading at once, but I don't always do that in every reading session that I have. Like, I may just read a little bit of one of them, or some, but not all of them. Sometimes I may want to do something like, again, this is something I don't have a strict rule for, but I may want to read like a chapter of one of them and then a chapter of another. Maybe I'll have a specific goal for pages or chapters or whatever. But again, it's not a strict system. It's kind of just whatever happens in the moment, because things can change, depends on the day, and so then I might do more or less than I thought I was going to do. So it's not very strict. I guess it depends on in the moment, and then I'll be like, okay, this is what I think I'm going to do. I might read some of this and then some of that. As for which book I decide to read first, I guess that just depends on what I'm in the mood for, whatever I feel like reading at that moment. So yeah, while reading one book, after I'm done with that, however much I decided to read of it, I may decide if I feel like reading more of another book. So yeah, if I'm reading more than 1 book at a time, sometimes I may only read one of the books in a session, and other times I might read all of them or more than one. But yeah, I don't have a specific system for it. Question 3. Do you ever switch bookmarks while you're partway through a book? Well, I currently don't use bookmarks, but I'm not against using a different bookmark if I'm in the middle of a book and I decide I want to use a different one. Question 4. Where do you keep the book you're currently reading? At the moment, I keep it on the bookshelf next to my bed, which basically serves as my bedside table. Question 5. What time of day do you spend the most time reading? That's an interesting one. I try to read in the morning when I wake up, which is technically the late afternoon because that's when I wake up. I also try to read at night before I go to bed. Try to make that the first and last thing I do. And I also try to read during the day, which I usually achieve. Between all 3 of those times, though, well, during the day can encompass many parts of the day, but I guess I'm going to say I read the most during the day compared to at the beginning or ends of my day. Question 6. How long do you typically read in one go? Maybe 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes less, sometimes more. I usually don't sit and read for hours at a time, unless maybe if I'm really enjoying what I'm reading or it's really quick and easy to get through. Again, there's not a specific answer for this. I don't have a strict schedule for it, but I would say because it can take me quite a while to read, probably like 30 minutes to an hour, I would say. And then I go and do other things for a while. Question 7. Do you read hardcovers with the dust jacket on or off? I think I used to keep it on. Nowadays, I take it off. If it's a hardcover book from the library, then I don't really have a choice because that's like taped onto it, but I don't mind in that case. It doesn't bother me because it won't slip off. So yeah, generally I read hardcovers with the dust jacket off. Question 8. Which position do you mainly use to read? Sometimes I'm more of sitting, other times it's laying down, typically on my side, though it can be on my back, but I think I read in a few different positions. But yeah, usually I would say sitting or laying down. I guess usually laying down, usually on my side, but sometimes I will do it sitting. Usually then I'll use the book stand, which is very helpful for reading. Question 9. Do you take the book you're currently reading everywhere you go? I mean, not everywhere. If I'm going somewhere like grocery shopping, then I'm not really going to have time to read. There's always a chance you could be stuck somewhere and waiting. So I don't bring a book everywhere, but if I'm going somewhere where there might be a time where I'm waiting for a little while, or I may be doing nothing, or there might not be much to do, then yeah, maybe I'll bring the book. So yeah, not everywhere. If I'm staying somewhere like overnight, then definitely. So yeah, not literally everywhere, but
It depends. If it's a place where I don't think I'm going to have any time for reading, then I don't really see a point to bring it, but sometimes I'll bring a book just in case, even if I'm not sure. It's just nice to have. There have been times where I've been like, I totally could have brought a book. It depends on the place and the circumstances, so it's possible I'll bring the book with me, but I don't always, all the time. Question 10, how often do you update your progress on Goodreads? Currently, I don't update the progress I'm at with the book, like what page I'm on or anything like that, especially because there are different editions, and I know you can find the right one on Goodreads, but I don't always do that. I usually just go with whatever the default is. Sometimes I change it if I like a certain cover more, especially maybe if it's the cover from the copy I'm reading, but I currently don't update the progress that I do, but when it comes to marking a book as currently reading or read, I usually do that, yeah, within 24 hours, maybe not instantly, especially if I finished it like at night, because I read instead of being on my phone usually, so I don't want to go on my phone then. I'll just wait till the next day to mark it that way. But my Goodreads is pretty up to date. It's not instant, but it's always updated within less than 24 hours. And then the final question, question 11, is just who would you like to tag? And again, just whoever wants to do this. I think this tag has been circulated a lot recently. Some of the tags I'm going to be doing within the next month or two or however long may not have been circulated as much, and so then I may tag more people. But for this one, I don't have anyone specific I want to tag, just whoever sees this who hasn't done it and who would like to. So thank you for joining me on the currently reading book tag. The book I'm currently reading is the book in the thumbnail, so that was kind of my way of putting it there. I had it right there, so I was like, I'll use that for the thumbnail. It fits.